So I want you to stop focusing on the golf ball. Now, yes, you've heard me correctly, because we all get told we need to look at the ball, focus on a different part of the golf ball. But I guarantee if you're watching this video, you're a golfer that really struggles with strike, particularly when the ball's on the ground, and the good ones go high, straight some of the time, maybe drift out to the right, but just go absolutely nowhere. So I will agree that most ball sports, I think we need to focus on the golf ball because the golf ball moves. But the beauty with the golf swing is the golf ball's stationary. So as long as we make good movements and learn how to hit the ball in the correct part of the golf swing, the shots will take care of themselves with irons, hybrids, fairway woods. Driver's a slightly different beast, and if you keep watching till the end, I'm going to show you what the change is with driver. But whenever the golf ball's on the ground, we want you to be able to stand up, do this swing, strike the ball better, hit the ball further, and be much more playable. Now, I know you're thinking that seems incredibly different, and yet the swing itself didn't look hugely different. So what am I talking about there? Well, let's initially talk about what golfers try and do, and I want you to work along with me with this. So golfers try and do 5 things. They try and hit the ball, try and get the ball in the air, try and make the ball go straight, try and make the ball go further, and try and strike the ball correctly. But they're all about the golf ball. Now, the thing for me is if you make a good movement, the golf ball will just be collected in the bottom part of the golf swing, but not directly at the bottom of the swing. So I think a lot of golfers set up and go, right, ball's there, I need to just hit the ball. So what we need to do is we need to control where the bottom of our swing is. Now, in theory, as you set up, the bottom of your swing should be opposite your left armpit. So as you swing and hit the ball from the middle of the stance with 7-iron to wedge, the low point would be most ahead of the golf ball. The club will be traveling down as it collects the ball and reaches the low point. That's where people talk about hitting down. I don't want you to try and hit down on the ball because we're talking about the ball. So all we're going to do is we're going to scuff a little line on my mat, but you might, on the grass, just scuff a little line on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up level with the ball, but I need to work out how, when I swing down, I can be hitting the ground forward. So I make my backswing as normal. I then need to move my weight much more towards the target and then swing down. And we can see there I touch the mat probably slightly ahead of the line. So do that again. Again, touch much further ahead. But the key thing there is I'm not looking where the ball would be, I'm looking further ahead. Now, it is a challenge because if you've been looking at the golf ball for years and years, initially you're going to want to do that. So what I'm saying is this is a trust thing, and don't worry what the first few might be like. We're going to look at a point ahead of the golf ball, make a swing and see if we can touch the ground ahead of the ball. So definitely touch much further ahead. And we can see on TrackMan there, 4.4 inches ahead. Club travelled down 5 degrees and gave me a carry at 160 degrees. And the key there, when I'm able to do that, as I'm coming into the golf ball, we can see to get to that lowest point of the swing, by the time I catch the ball, I'm catching it earlier in the downswing. So I'm here and then coming through. Whereas the first one I showed today, the low point was behind the golf ball. So I hit the ground, but by the time I got to the ball, loads more loft. So we're going to look ahead. Again, this is when the ball's in the middle. So this is when I would see the low point the most ahead. So from there, focus ahead again. Not quite as good a strike. See, low point still 2.1 inches ahead. Clubs travelled down 2.4 degrees. Carry at 151. Now, if you're doing this on the turf, you'll see where the deepest part of the divot would be, and that would be the low point. So now I'm going to move up to a 3 hybrid. So rather than the ball being in the centre, I'm just going to move that ball just slightly forward so that that line's now maybe a couple of inches ahead rather than 3 to 4 inches ahead. I'm still going to look at the line. I'm still going to make that same movement, get towards the target so I can touch the line, have the practice swing, definitely touch the head there, and then can I do that when the ball's there? See low point 3.7 inches ahead, clubs travel down 4 degrees, 200 carry and 221 total. And even if the accuracy is a little bit off for now, just that ability to be striking ball and then ground, also generating a little bit of club head speed, but getting the energy into the ball is huge. But it's really taking that emphasis away from the ball and focusing on making the best movement I can to give me the best shot. So again, I'm going to look at that line just ahead. And again, we can see 2.6 inches ahead, clubs travel down 3 degrees, 195 carry and 210 total. Now, hopefully that looked amazingly simple. Now, what I would then say is, I mentioned at the start, driver's a different beast. So in a perfect world to maximize distance with driver, we would actually want the low point behind the ball. So this is where, for me, I would again create that line on the mat, but I would actually put the ball target side of the line. I would also then set myself up with the ball maybe just inside my left heel. I'd actually start the club behind the mark of the line on the ground so I can look at it. And then again, I'm going to make that swing and try and feel that I don't hit the ground there, but I keep my eyes looking much more behind the ball. And then when I make my swing, we can see the low point 4.6 inches behind. The club's now travelled up 2.8 degrees, 256 carry and 283 total. Now, it's not absolutely essential that the low point with driver behind the golf ball. We can still hit some very good drives with the low point being ahead. But if we do want to maximise distance, we want the low point behind with driver, but ahead with every other club. And if you can get that concept of looking at a point behind with driver, and then like I said, making a nice aggressive swing. It's amazing how we can see there, 3.5 inches behind, clubs travelled up 1.8 degrees, 252 carry and 281 total. But when I see most golfers, they make lots of good practice swings, but the actual swing looks very different because they're focusing on the ball. So like I said in the video there, and rewatch it if you need to, when you've got a shot where the ball's on the ground, you want that line ahead of the golf ball. Obviously, different amount relative to where the ball is in your feet. But anytime the ball's on the ground, that line wants to be ahead. With driver, the line wants to be behind. And if you can get that as the new way of thinking, you're going to hit every club in the bag better than ever.